All right. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining. Today, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, PR. And it is not an area where I am the most knowledgeable per se, but I have done it a lot now over the years. And I've learned a lot along the way. And so I'm really excited as I've been working with Samantha, Sam, on PR with some of my clients. And so it's been really great to learn with her and wanted to have the session to chat live and talk about PR in different ways. Sam and I have now known each other, what, like a year since Tot Squad has probably been?
Year and a half, yeah.
Yeah, a year and a half from Tot Squad, where we were like launching at Walmart, getting into retailers and trying to figure out how to make an impact really quickly. So really excited to talk with you today, Sam. And we're going to make this really conversational, just you and I talking. And Mason, please feel free to ask questions or anyone else that joins along the way so that we can get the questions answered that people need and educate along the way, as that's our goal. So without further ado, I'll kick it over to Sam. And she can kind of tell us like about yourself, Sam, and like, how you even got into PR. I think is a cool way to start.
Well, I won't bore everyone too much with my background, but hi, I'm Sam. I am the founder of Opportunity PR. I started the company, 3.5 years ago now. I've been in this business for almost 14 years. And as Brooke was saying, I actually, kind of asking about, I actually fell into PR. It was, during the last great recession, and it was 2008, and I graduated and couldn't find a job. And somebody offered me, long story short, somebody offered me an internship in PR, and I said yes, not knowing actually what it was whatsoever. But I said yes, and there was, a paid internship came my way. Great, sounded good. And it turned out I learned what PR was quite quickly, and turned out I was actually quite good at it. So here I am 14 years later with my own company, and still, it's changed a lot in the last 14 years, but still enjoying the road. So happy to be here.
That's so awesome. So I guess what like the biggest question for people always like when I'm doing their marketing strategy and trying to figure out like how to put the pieces together for marketing, like we've done with lots of clients, is like, so what exactly is PR? Like, what does it mean? Because I feel like sometimes I talk about with clients and we're like, it's a podcast, and sometimes we're like, PR is influencers. Like, can be just so many things. So can you have like what is like exactly PR? How do people like, what's the first thing you said?
Yeah, I mean, I actually love to answer this question because I think people really do have so many different thoughts about what falls under PR. And I think sometimes people's expectations of what PR is and what it can achieve can sometimes be very high. They've all heard that Bill Gates quote of like, if I have my last dollar, I put it in PR. And they're like, great, here's my dollar. And now I'm going to be Bill Gates, right? And it's like, whoa,
Mm-hmm. Right.
hang on a second. So, I mean, I really say the easiest way to nail down what PR is it's creating brand awareness, trust, and credibility for your products and services and your brand as a whole. And, I think the thing that people, as they're learning about PR, as they're trying to, either do PR for themselves or bring on an agency, is really the toughest part is none of those things that I just listed are tangible, right? Brand awareness is not tangible, trust, credibility, none of these things are really very measurable. And that can be really tough. On my side, I always say to people, my job is easy. Sometimes trying to explain to clients the ROI, if they don't get it, can be really hard because, like I said, you can't grab and touch credibility, trust, and brand awareness. Now, obviously, over time, it becomes very obvious that these things have worked and all the things we've been saying along the way. But it's not one of those things, PR, that you're going to do. And in 6 weeks, your company is completely different and you're done with PR and you can move on.
Right. I feel like sometimes
Really a long game.
totally. And I know I fall in that trap when we work together sometimes where I'll be like, all right, quick fix. Like I got that PR hit. Like it's almost like a drug addiction, right? Where you're like, oh, we got one article. I saw these sales come through and they're like, when's my next one? When's my next one? And we just kind of like, I'm like calling you and saying, hey, where's, how can I get into Motherly? How do I get into this thing? Like all these, and it's like, you have to like, it takes time, I think, is the biggest problem.
And it's also, there's the other thing to consider that I think people forget, and this is where PR works with other marketing tactics, right? PR, I always say, it can't exist in a silo on its own. It needs social media, it needs other marketing, email marketing, text marketing, whatever it is. and even advertising, because, these days people are so inundated with media, right? So you're scrolling through Instagram. I mean, think about the amount of content you're taking on, even if you're just sitting there scrolling for 5 minutes, right? And so these days, for a customer to actually, or a potential customer to actually convert to become a customer, the numbers are crazy these days. I mean, they're saying you need 20 plus interactions with a potential customer to actually change their mind and make them into a customer. And you need all of the different avenues to get them in that sales funnel. And that's really where I say, PR's job is. It works like marketing. We're getting a potential customer into the sales funnel, but it is your job to convert them through, right? I get them in, you see them through, and you nurture that.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely. So wait, it's 20 plus times. I feel like when I first started, like I remember in college, because it was like a quiz, it was only like 7 times you needed to, like that's
5,
2009.
I remember, was the number. Yeah.
Right. And now that it's 20 plus times, so there's so much more out there, I think makes it a lot, harder to hit, and you need so many more tools to do it.
Yeah, and again, that's why you need, if you've got your great PR hit in Motherly, like the example you use, but then, at the same time, they're being targeted with the ads, they're seeing 3 influencers, they're getting an email, all of a sudden it's, oh, okay, I've seen this brand everywhere now, I need to buy.
Right. Exactly. And so what are like the different tools of PR that, you see out there? Because we talked about articles, and just really quick, interesting thing I want to share is I was doing some work research for a client deck that I'm putting together for their strategy. And I was looking at, like creams, and it was like all the articles for them to resonate with search, were all media outlets, right? So even if they built their website today, like people like, I can't remember, like beauty magazine, like all that was all already up top. So like to try and compete with your website is going to be so hard to break through with search. So like, I guess really to take a sidestep, PR and search, like how, like are those like coming together? Like how do you think about like those things?
Certain things, and like you're saying, I mean, like Babylist, for example, puts huge amounts of money behind their SEO, right? So if I'm searching for the best baby carrier, Babylist is going to pop up in one of the top, 10 searches. So if you're then in that editorial section of that article, that's huge for you, and obviously maybe they're selling it through Babylist, maybe they're taking a percentage affiliate wise, and we'll get to affiliate, but, and sending it on. But yeah, I mean, the other side of it though is a lot of the major outlets don't want to use do follow links. So there's some that are, some that aren't. You can pay extra for those. We're getting really into nitty gritty, but
yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know what do follow links are.
yeah, there's do follow and don't follow links. So that can sometimes get tricky in the PR SEO world. But like I said, because the media outlets, they want to be the top ranking for the top 10, baby carriers. Therefore, they've already done half the work for you. If your publicist can actually get you in there, then you're golden.
Right. Yeah, the search is really interesting. And then you mentioned affiliate links. Can you talk about like affiliate and PR? Like how does that?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned like PR has changed a lot over the years. And 14 years ago, they did not have affiliate programs. And essentially, back when I first started, how they made money was through advertising. So whether it was, I mean, there were a lot more print magazines back when I first started, and even online, they were making, whether it was the banner ad, the pop-up ad, or the actual imprint ad, that was how they were making revenue. These days, no one wants to pay for that stuff. And so they've had to really, do a 180 and figure out how are we still going to keep the doors open and the lights on. So what they've all done is gone to these affiliate models. So you may be thinking, oh, I've got an affiliate program for my influencers, right? And, so-and-so posts their picture. If people purchase, they get a commission from it.
Right.
And it's the same thing, but essentially you're using different platforms. So my personal favorite is Share a Sale. I'll be honest with you, they're all awful to use. They all seem like they were created in the 90s by someone who's never used a computer. I don't know why.
Right.
I have a lot of questions, but Share a Sale is the one I use the most. And basically it's very similar to how you use your influencer affiliate program, except it's for media.
Okay, so shares, because I know there's also Affiliately I've used, but I don't think
I don't know if
Really?
that's one though that media really like there's
Okay.
CJ, there's Pepper Jam, Share a Sale. Those are the big ones that the media outlets like. And then there's a sub affiliate called Skim Links, but you
Right.
can't just sign up for Skim Links. You have to have that through a Share a Sale or one of these others. So different publications use different versions of the affiliate program, just like your influencers.
Yeah.
But it's very much the same idea. Is they'll put you in an article, when someone clicks, they get the percentage of what they check out with from you.
Right. Okay. So for PR, as you think about it, it's like we talked about affiliate links. We talked about being in articles, you know, the media. What?
Called like kind of the traditional media relations is your online print. Obviously, there's very few left of those. Broadcast, even that's what we kind of dub under media relations. There's also thought leadership. So let's say you come up with something. Let's say you have a doctor who's on your board who's going to talk about, you've got a sleep sack and they want to talk about the it's great for the baby's hips and it's great to help them sleep, whatever it is. We would use that doctor and pitch them out as an expert, pediatrician or sleep expert, whoever, whatever their domain is, as that expert, and get them quoted in articles. And then their title would say, so and so at X company would be the title. And so that's another great way. There's obviously events. Events have changed obviously since the pandemic a lot. People are just less interested in going to events at this point. I think some people are sort of excited to get back to them, but then there's a reluctance to actually, I think, put your shoes on and get out the door.
Right. Yeah, we were just talking about the ABC Expo, right? Like we were like,
yes.
oh, we were like wanting to go. Like I'm going actually to the ABC Expo. You're like, I don't know.
See, I feel like it sounds like a great idea in theory, and then once it actually comes to putting my shoes on, do I really?
Right. Yeah.
My clients are exhibiting this year, so for me it's less important, I think. But yeah, I mean, those kind of events. But we also do a lot of online Zoom events now, so like this, but we can do media events with people, which can be really great and really fun. So events, and then there's brand partnerships. Even just like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. I actually started out in the baby industry, left, went into tech, all kinds of, some really boring tech, some really cool tech, and then went back into baby. So I've been in baby since the beginning of my career, left for a little bit, and I've been back obviously for a long time in Babyland. So, the brand partnerships, obviously I know a lot of brands in the business. And so just being able to connect, whether it's for giveaways, whether you're going to do a package insert program, let's go old school and then use some paper, whether it's sort of the email version of that, of, somebody buys something from your brand and you can say, oh, our friends over at here, here, and here would, like to give you a discount on theirs. There's a lot of, I mean, and even up to, co-design products where maybe we're going to put one company's print on another product or something like that. So that's really brand partnerships. And then celebrity seating, I always definitely say falls under PR. Influencer can and cannot. I mean, we're like, for me at our agency, we can absolutely handle that, but usually companies have other, solutions for it, usually in place a lot of times before they come to us, or we're happy to do it.
Yeah, I guess the celebrity is interesting. I know we never even talking about celebrity influencers, but like, does that still make an impact nowadays, or do the celebrities even want to still? Yeah, you're seeing
huge. I mean, here's the thing: it's very much like throwing the spaghetti against the wall, because unless you want to commit to paying them. But for example, my client Dreamland Baby, we sent one of their weighted sleep sacks to Chrissy Teigen. Chrissy Teigen happened to post an Instagram story with her most recent baby in the sleep sack. So we pitched that out, to all the places that care about celebrities. We got a huge people.com feature, a big Pure Wow family feature. And I mean, then you can see on the back end of that, on the affiliate side, like the people one was, I mean, has been generating sales. It's very interesting to see. And people, people like Chrissy Teigen. There's also, for them, Dreamland, specifically Mandy Moore is a fan. We've got, I'm blanking on some others, but we've gotten Mandy Moore feature stories out of it. We've gotten, so when it works and they happen to just post, it's great. It can sometimes, I think, feel frustrating if you want to go that route, because you're just sending, you have to maybe send 30 products out. Maybe you get one hit back, and maybe it's not Chrissy Teigen, right? Maybe it's someone smaller that, people care less about, but, you've got to kind of do it and keep doing that. And the other thing that I always tell people with celebrities too, is they all run in the same circles. So even if you don't physically see somebody posting about it, if they like a product, they're going to tell their mom friends about it, and all of them are celebrities too. So.
Wow, yeah. I was working on a kids clothing brand. We were trying to figure out the like celebrity, sending clothes out to celebrities and getting the celebrities to wear it. And to your point, you have to send out a lot of clothes. And we were like, figuring out the cost of sending it. Is it the right celebrities to be wearing it? And like, we were just playing that game of putting the plans together. It's been our big approach for us.
But it's important. I think as long as you can come to terms with the fact that, yes, some of it's going to feel like it's just going out into the ether and nothing's coming back, but then that one day that Chrissy Teigen posts about it, all of a sudden it all becomes worth it, right?
That's the thing. I know and the thing is, you need to also have a good product, I think, is the thing too, Sam. Because I think, the clothing at least, like for what I was working on, there wasn't it was like cute, but there wasn't like that benefit that anyone really saw. I think was that at the end of the day, we figured out like there wasn't enough of a differentiate, or we didn't communicate, or like the communication, like marketing brand, when they did the creative, didn't communicate what that was. So I think, with your PR, when you're doing outreach, you have to be really tight so they know like what this product was, what's the benefit of it, like why are they getting it? Because I think sometimes people forget that too.
Celebrities too, like different agencies do this differently. Some people will just blindly send packages to people, and I think that's a complete waste of money. Like that is true throwing spaghetti at the wall. Like when we reach out to people, like we're talking, Hillary Swank just had her twins. Like we're talking to her assistant, but instead it's like, hey, tell me what Hillary wants, and we'll send what she wants. Like Luke Combs's wife just announced she's having her second, like. Which obviously I'm here in Nashville, so that feels like such a big deal. So, Coates' wife, wants some of our stuff. But, she picked like stuff from 2 of our brands. Now I could be extra aggressive and send some of the other things that she's not requested, but A, she's already looked at them, decided she doesn't want them. B, what a waste of product. She might decide out of all that stuff that she really likes something else, but the likelihood's slim. I'd rather her pick what she wants and we get that out to her.
Right. I think the relationships is really key to your point, because like just sending stuff blindly versus having that conversation ahead of time, I think is really where you need to make sure. So, okay, I guess I wanted to shift is how do you what is the right time to think about PR? Because I think we've talked about this on, clients we've worked on together, like they'll do PR, then they stop doing PR, and like it takes a while, you're getting results. So like, what is the right time in your business to think about PR, I think?
Well, I think you just hit on something, too, that's really important. PR, and we've talked about it, but I'm going to reiterate it before this. PR is a long game. And if you're kind of looking at something and going, I just want to do PR for a launch, I just want 6 weeks of it, like you're probably throwing your money at the end of it. It's better to wait until you're in a spot where you're like, I can commit to this. Like I usually say to clients 6 months to actually see how this is working. Now you're going to know before 6 months, but usually 0 to 3 months or 1 to 3 months kind of time frame, you're getting all the samples out. People are trying it. Also, I do a lot of work in the baby space. So sometimes I have to wait for someone to actually have a baby. Like they can't try the products until they've had a baby. So unfortunately, that's not on anybody's time frame. Nobody can decide when that's going to happen. So it's definitely timing and making sure that your mindset is in the right place before you start, right? I think there's 2 different things to it, right? It's kind of the hard launch versus the soft launch. And I think when people have a really revolutionary product, and I'll make this up, let's say that we were launching the Willow breast pump, right? This was before anybody else had ever launched it. That thing was so revolutionary that it was going to get coverage, right? I mean, it was, because let's be frank, there are products that are really revolutionary. There are products that are great and have kind of updated from the current status quo, but maybe they're not going to blow up like a Willow pump, right? So I think something like a Willow, yes, let's do a hard launch. Let's get it, do the PR the same day as the website goes live, the same day as the social, whatever the strategy is we've all come up with. But PR is part of that piece of the puzzle from day one. But again, you're going to have some budget to actually, pull that off. So that's also, again, another factor. If you've got outside investment, that's a lot easier to do than if you're a startup mom and pop shop, right? But some people need to do a soft launch, and sometimes that works well too, in the sense that like you've got the company up and running. you know that you had some kinks to work out in your email flow, say, right? Brooke can help you with that. Now your email flow is really set up, and that's, nice. And you've really found your voice on social. You know what's resonating with your customers, right? Et cetera, et cetera. And sometimes I think for smaller companies, that's a better way to go. Like, for example, I had somebody try and come to me a few months ago, and she'd had her company up for a while, and she said, oh, I hired, I think it was an email marketing guy that she had happened to hire. And he was getting, she said, 1 million views to her website, like each month. And he was crushing it. And she's like, but it's not converting to sales. So I let him go, and I want to hire PR. And my question was, well, why? And she said, well, I want those PR hits. And I said, but my job essentially is the same as his, is I'm going to drive people to your website. And if you're not converting anyone, then hiring me is a complete waste of your money until you get that part figured out. Right. So you do need to figure out those kinks, because PR isn't necessarily going to fix that, right?
Right. Yeah, it's the experience.
We get them into the sales funnel. If you're not converting them as it is, then what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, it just all works together, and it all takes time, I think, is the hard part, because everyone's like, I mean, we worked on a client together, and we were like, 3 months, we're like, well, we're not seeing sales, and then we got all these sales come through, and we didn't have any product ready, right? And like, that was something neither of us could control, because we're not operations. And then again, you just don't know when things are going to hit with, all the different marketing funnels, because it takes time for them all to kind of click and work together to come to life. So
yeah, and that's the thing that I always sort of try and remind people about PR too. Like, PR is not advertising. You don't get to pick which day it's going to go out and exactly which messages they're going to use. Well, that's what the editorial team decide. Like, hey, we think this message actually resonates better. Whereas the client may have said, no, parents.com needs to focus on, message A, B, and C, and they want to focus on X, Y, and Z. And that's the thing. They're the editorial team. We can, we can feed them the information, but they're going to take out of it what they think is the most important. And to be honest with you, at the end of the day, the editorial team knows their readership far better than you do. So probably their call is correct.
That's really true.
But yeah, we're not advertising. We can't decide how much space you're going to get, which, in a listicle, we can't decide what number you're going to be, 1 through 2, the 20 best X, we don't know if you're going to be number 1 or number 20. So there's definitely different things in PR, but what I love about PR and why I believe in PR so much is you pay a flat fee, and we could get you 20 things in a month, versus that one ad that probably costs, 5 times what a monthly retainer in PR costs, and you only get that one thing, so that's the joy. There's ups and downs to both. And I always, as I said at the beginning, recommend people do both, but there's that's part. And the other part that I love about PR is your customers and potential customers actually, they buy what you're selling more, in the sense that a third-party editorial person is the one telling them that they love it. Right. It's not you, because every other marketing channel, right, Brooke, you can attest to this, every other marketing channel is your brand telling everybody how great you are. Well, of course you think you're great.
Right.
But when the editor of Vogue comes out and says you're great, well, hold on a minute, that means something.
Right. Or influencer, which that's why influencer marketing has blown up, because it's someone else saying it versus just you beating on your chest. Because I always joke, like, nobody cares about your brand. No offense. Like, at the end of the day, right? It's just they're seeing thousands of products. Like, yes, they can become loyal, but like, until like another mom or another person like shares it, or they can experience it, or like they get that solve, they don't necessarily, they can't care about it yet.
Yeah, and I would say that PR, though, I mean, yes, you're right, an influencer is talking about it, but I think people know that influencers are making money. Like, more people know that influencers are either paid to post something or they're making money on the back end out of it. I think the general public doesn't realize that media outlets are actually doing the same thing and making money on the back end. I mean, they see that little disclaimer that says, if you purchase, we may receive a commission, but I don't think anyone really understands what that means yet,
Yeah.
So I think the credibility and the validation from, again, we'll just use Vogue as an example, is so much bigger even than, an influencer with 1 million followers, because everyone kind of knows that they're more than likely selling themselves,
Totally. Yeah. Mason, do you have any questions just out of curiosity? I know Sam and I are just going wild talking, geeking
Yeah,
out.
no, this has all been super valuable, so I appreciate it. Yeah, I do have questions.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you sort of how does a new brand go about outsourcing the PR function? What are standard rates, and how would you measure and assess the quality of an outsourced PR firm?
That's a tough one. I mean, pricing, everybody varies, right? And I mean, I'll also just be frank. I think it also depends how well the agency's doing that month, right? Sometimes you might get a discount just because they've just lost a client and they want to bring one on, right? I mean, we're all running a business over here. But I think it depends on the size of the agency as well. And I mean, in terms of picking one, I mean, I did make, some notes about this for you guys. Brooke and I have a one sheet to kind of hand out at the end of this, but,
Yeah.
I think you need to focus on who your key customer base is. And like, for example, I years ago worked with a brand who had gone to another agency. It was called UV Cube, and they use like a UV sanitation. It looked like a little tiny microwave, and like it would sanitize bottles, pacifiers, whatever else you put in there, right? And so there's kind of a techie component to it, but basically they went to a tech agency first. And of course, they're having no luck. They got a couple little hits or something, but unsurprisingly, and they are doing more of this now. This was probably 8-9 years ago. But CNET and Engadget weren't that interested back 8-9 years ago about writing about some UV sanitation cube. They wanted to write about the hottest new iPhone. So in their mind, they had picked the right agency, but really their target customer was parents. And really, let's be honest, it's women who are doing most of the purchasing when it comes to their kids, right? I think more so dads are. I think if you get into really techie things, that can be the case. Because they like to do, I think, more of the baby monitor that, dads kind of get more into that, or they want to pick their own carrier, maybe. But, in general, so moms, let's even say they got into this UV Cube, have gotten into all these CNETs and gadgets and all these things. Most moms who are looking for their stuff for their baby registry aren't there. So you need to look right at where your customer is, and is the agency you want to work with targeting that customer, firstly. And I think I feel like that's obvious, but I've seen it happen multiple times that it's not been that obvious to people. So,
Sure.
I think the other thing I always would like to consider is, do you like them? Is there
Yeah.
someone that, like, if you were actually going to work in an office next to them, would you want to work with them? Can you see them being part of the team? Would you invite them on the, company retreat with you? Do you see them as part of your team? Because there needs to be that, especially as a smaller business, there needs to be that trust and that camaraderie and all of that, because I always say, for my agency, like, we are an extension of their team. They're small. Adding even 1 or 2 more people when it comes to us is a huge extension of their team, plus the trust value is huge. I mean, sometimes, of course, we sign NDAs when we start and everything, but the number of people who say, well, I don't want to tell you what my revenue goal is for the year. I'm like, why? Yeah.
We're all here to help, I think, is the thing too, is that people a lot of times forget when like working with outsource, right? So like,
but I think, making sure that they are part of your team and giving them, like, the other thing I say to people sometimes is, PR can help you with parts of your business. If you have a creative, smart PR firm, they can help you with parts of your business that you didn't ever think they could. For example, I have a client who they are online speech therapy, and they are trying to find some very specific speech therapists to come and join their team, because doing online is different than in person, especially for speech, et cetera, et cetera. I won't bore you with it, but it was something that they were trying to do. And I said, great, let's do a campaign where we start hitting all of the HR publications, HR Brew, employee benefit news. Let's get that and get your name out there, so that when people are searching and they're trying to find a job, or they want to talk to somebody, they actually think of us. So that's more of a thought leadership thing in terms of HR specifically, to help with a business goal that probably, had they not just mentioned it off the cuff, they never would have thought PR could actually assist them. Okay. So there's that. And then I will say, ask for references. Look at who else they're working with and ask for references. Because I will tell you, the number of times I have had a company come to me and be like, I paid this person for PR and nothing happened. And it's devastating for me because I think there are a lot of people out there who say they're good at their jobs and they're not, or they're just sort of taking people's money and then, I don't know, going and having cocktails on the nearest rooftop bar. I don't know what they're doing, but
Right.
so, definitely ask for references. Look, if there's companies that you like their PR and you see them everywhere, maybe just reach out to their founder and say, hey, who's doing your PR? And you can probably click around even on their website and figure it out, but I would say look at who you want to be, and look at, like I said, look at their client list and see who they're working with. Because if you've never heard of any of them, it's not great.
Yeah, I think the biggest fit is important.
Yeah,
Sam.
I have to think that there's like a smaller network of PR firms and professionals that are as focused as you and Brooke are, say, on the baby industry. Would you agree that probably there's a dozen?
There are more though than I'm friendly with a few of them. There's a couple I avoid like the plague. And there's a couple that sometimes I have someone come to me and they say, oh, I worked with so-and-so at one point. I'm like, who? And I have no idea who these people are. So,
Yeah.
And sometimes that usually is a little concerning to me when they've worked with some random company. Because usually, they're leaving them for a reason. So, but it's tough, right? Because, in my position, I never want to tell someone not to hire somebody, but sometimes I do get asked, like, what do you think about so-and-so? And I'll be honest, I'll be nice, but honest.
And there's also this idea that, the success of any PR firm is in part a function of the quality of the product or brand that you are working with. So, you could take on a client that doesn't have that appealing of a product and not have much success because no one's biting. So presumably there's a screening process that you have or that other PR professionals have and say, okay, your product is interesting, your product's good quality, I see where there's value, where there may be some attraction for new customers, etc. I can work with you. I think we can get something done.
Yes, I will say yes. I would say there's a couple caveats to that though. One, if you're a creative PR person, you can find placements for something. Unless you're literally taking on this piece of paper, and it's just, that boring. But the other thing, the hard part can sometimes be no one's founded a company because they thought their idea was bad, right?
Right.
And there are some PR people that are going to kind of have the mindset of, well, you're going to hire someone and give someone your money, it might as well be me. So that's tough too, right? I think being realistic about what your product is and looking at that and saying, will this benefit from PR? Like if I was going to sit down today and do our PR, how easy would I find it? Or, is this really something where we've rebranded a bunch of Alibaba stuff and really we're just going to pepper people with, Instagram ads, and that's probably going to be the easiest way to do this because the product itself is, a $1 piece of junk that's made in China that now I'm selling for $50. I'm like, great, you can make a business out of that. But is PR really going to help you? Probably not.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah, that's why it's so important, like the right time to get into PR and having the right fit. Because again, I think the right fit is the big thing too. Like you were saying, Sam, because I work across functional, right, with so many different experts. And when I work with Amazon or when I work with PR, like with advertising or email marketing, right, like all those things, you have to have the right fit and the right knowledge in there because you might spend so much time also educating if they're not a baby PR agent or not a baby content writer or something like that because there's such an overhaul. So it's just really important to have the right fit that all work together and the team works together because that's when the magic happens. I feel like with marketing, when the PR is firing and knows the social that's happening, and can work with others versus everyone working in their silos. Because that's when I see marketing fall apart.
And at the end of the day, you don't want to hire someone who just says yes to you the whole time. Doesn't ask questions, hey, have you had, what's your negative feedback? And that's something I always want to ask people, where have you struggled? Where are you, because maybe it's something we can actually message around and use PR to help with, but maybe it's a red flag that maybe PR isn't really right.
Yeah. What's your thought on the importance of local focus? We some
Your business, for example, just seeing as we're chatting here.
What's that?
What is your
Oh,
company?
sorry. We have a new type of baby carrier that's car seat compatible,
Okay.
and very elegant and high-end materials.
Okay. I'm going to say this just so that I've said it and you don't feel like I'm being strange in any way.
Yeah.
I just started working with Lullaby, who has a carrier. So it just so you know,
Okay.
I have a client with a carrier, but,
Yeah.
so I also just don't want you to say anything you don't be upset about if you
Sure,
want
sure, sure. Yeah, yeah.
to. Basically, like with a carrier, I mean, I would say the only way local would necessarily help you is they might want to do a local broadcast segment on the fact that, you've done this. Maybe you're in, I don't know where you're based, but hey, Austin, Texas company started this new baby carrier and it saved,
Yeah.
5,000 children's lives because it's compatible and blah, 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 whatever the story is. I
Yeah.
think that can help. I think sometimes, like we were talking about hiring, if you wanted to hire in person for your local Austin office, doing some local, PR could be helpful to reach that end. Otherwise, I would say national is the way to go and online is the way to go because you get those clicks, you get that affiliate, you get people purchasing. You can see it, you can screenshot it. Brooke could use it in social, in your email newsletters, text it, whatever, campaign she's working on. And you can send that to retailers. Like Bye Bye Baby doesn't care that you were in, the Austin American Statesman. They care that you were in Babeless, right? So I think putting your time in the right spot. If you've got something that really makes sense for local, do it. But I think local these days, like I said, unless you have a really specific reason for doing it, is a little bit of a waste.
Yeah.
Or like a store, right? Like a restaurant or store, like focuses on local marketing a lot more. And
Yeah,
then when you have
your first brick and mortar store for your carrier company, like great, that's you want to get people in the store, absolutely. But
Yeah.
still, that national press is worth 10 times more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
People, like, I'm going to say this too. Don't take everything I'm saying as like the gospel. Other publicists
Sure.
are going to have a different opinion than I do,
Sure. Sure. Sure.
Yeah. Cool.
Right.
Any other questions or things? I know, Sam, we talked about a lot today with PR, and I know like
I was worried I wouldn't be able to talk enough, and I'm like, girl, I talk for a living.
yeah, we just both, being both in the baby space and both like we work together, like I said, a few times, and always like have such a great connection and love talking and educating people and setting, like Sam said, there are really bad people out there I've seen.
Yeah.
We get a lot of cleanup jobs just from projects we've worked on where people come like tattered and torn. And so we are always just trying to get ahead. I want to get ahead and help people and set them up for success and ensure that, business.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, anybody else who's on the call or who is watching this later, if you, want some help with a PR firm, especially in baby parenting, please reach out to me. Like Mason, I rep another carrier, but I know other PR firms who are great, who I'd be happy to introduce you to, so if that
would be really, actually, that would be really helpful. I don't know if you're exclusive because you are working with a carrier.
On competing brands ever. And look, no PR agency should, I would say. I don't think that's good business. So,
Although Lullaby is more of a wrap, ours is a structured carrier, but it's probably similar enough.
What? We can talk about that. Okay. So,
I mean, I'm not familiar with them, so I'm just looking at their website now. It's nice.
I've never looked at yours, so maybe we should chat. But I mean, for example, like I rep Dreamland Baby, they have a weighted sleep sack, right? And then I also rep a company called Narani, who has a swaddle pod, but it takes the place of a swaddling blanket, whereas Dreamland Baby is a weighted sleep sack for babies, right? They're not for the same age range, they're not for the same purpose necessarily. So it's like there was a moment there with those two where I thought, are they competitive? But really, when you get down to it, my thing is, would you buy both, or could you buy both, or would you buy one? So
yeah, it's important to like the competitive aspect to make sure like people aren't working on. You do want somebody who works on complementary brands. So like Sam's saying, you can like grow and leverage each other. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, you know, if you reach out to Sam after this, well, I'll send all her information. I'll share the one sheeter, and for anyone like, you know, for you and for anyone who watches the recording, like our goal is to help baby brands, you know, grow and thrive. And I don't think I even introduced myself in the beginning of this call, but I'm Brooke Shapiro, and if anyone needs any help with their marketing consulting, you know, figuring out the best plan, like I want to help all these baby and parenting brands thrive too. So, you know, I'll have a webinar next month as well. I'll be talking about Amazon as the next topic to help educating all the different founders on the various topics of marketing, so that we can figure out how it all works together.
I might actually join that one too, because that's a beast.
Yeah, Amazon is like a crazy. I started off on Amazon in 2012, I want to say. Because I worked on Band-Aids at the time, and it was just like easy add to cart, like to get to the $5 free shipping. And so over time, it's just become its own marketing strategy. It's been so crazy. So
Well, add my email to that one. I want to come.
awesome. Great. All right. Well, I'll let everyone go. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Sam, so much for your
Thank
time
you.
today. Super grateful. All
Of
right.
course.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.